Hey folks, Mike Lundy here with Fish Alaska Magazine, and if you joined us in the previous video, I showed you the two-part series how to tie the rear and front sections of the prom dress intruder, and in this video we're going to show you to tie the second of 4 honorable mention flies in that April main feature Top 10 King Flies of Alaska. This is a Marabou tube fly. Marabou tube flies are great. They work really well when with intense angling pressure, which you deal with on the Parks Highway and on the Richardson Highway and the Gulcanic, Latina, and those systems down there. Don't have to worry about it so much in the remote areas of Bristol Bay and Alaska Peninsula, but they're still great flies to have in pressured systems or during abnormal, unseasonably warm conditions with warm air temperatures or warm water temperatures. So this is basically a Marabou tube fly right here, just tied on a small 1/16 inch diameter plastic tube. An HMH, Umer tube would work fine. You can also tie it in a Pro tube system. Basically it's just 2 plumes of Marabou. Usually I use a dark color and a light contrasting color. And I finish it off with a guinea collar. You can also use shallapin. And just a few strands of flash tied 360 with your rotary vise is all you need, and that is it. So overall the fly isn't that long. It's about maybe 3 inches in length at most. And again, you don't want to overdress it with too much flash. So all we're using to tie this today is just 2 different colors of Marabou right here, black and hot pink, and then to finish it off, a pink guinea collar. I'm sorry, a pink New Guinea feather. And then just 2 different strands of flash. Here we got some fuchsia cerise colored flash, and then a couple strands of silver, and that should do it. So we have about 1.5 inches of hard plastic tube. So we'll take our lighter. We will light one end of this. Like you will with all tube flies. Now we'll insert this through the tube. Insert the tube through the, there we go. There, she slid on the tube mandrel. Now we'll put into the adapter, on the tube fly adapter. This tube fly adapter is the expanded version from HMH. Very, very handy. The starter tool is also a good one to use as well. Alright, so I usually like to use contrasting threads, so since I'm using black and pink, I'm going to use black 6-aught. 6-aught uni works fine. You can also use 6-aught Verivas. So I'm just going to start in the back here. I'm going to start off first with pink. Usually you should take 2 plumes, 3 at most. So in this Marabou plume right here, I'm going to remove a lot of the excess fluff off of here. I want to try to get the longest fibers possible to Palmer in this. So I'm going to probably at least remove half of this. Alright. Now I'm going to trim this right here so I have about easy to work with. There, that's trimmed away. I'm going to tie this in right here. And as far as weight goes in this, by the way, you could use lead wire if you wanted to on the tube, but I just think using a cone head at the very end works just fine too. All right, we're gonna cut the excess Marabou off here. Okay, I'll grab my hackle pliers right here and advance the thread forward just to get it out of the way so I can palmer it. Alright, so let's take your time. Each time I'm not advancing forward very slowly and progressively. I'm not palmering it continuously in the same spot. So each time you see me going forward like this, I'm slowly going forward. See, what happened is after I removed most of that fluff, I got a much better, I got a lot more of the longer fibers to use, so that way it looks a lot better. Alright, I'll tie that off there. It's almost like a Marabou popsicle fly in a way. Alright, now I can trim this off. Okay, now I will throw in, if you look at that one more time, start off with pink, but this one will start off with black. But I'm going to throw a pink feather in now. Here's the pink one. Do the same thing. I want the maximum fibers on this, so I'm going to pull this back, remove a lot of the fluff off of here. I want, again, the longest fibers possible, so I'm going to take about at least a half the quill. I'm not going to use. Create the scissors fold right there. That's going to be the tie-in point again. So I'm going to tie that in. And I'll just take this, fold that back over itself a little bit so that way it's tied in or secured. Alright, trim the excess. Same thing, and advance my thread forward. Cut some of this excess stem. I usually want, as a rule of thumb, about an inch of the quill above the last remaining fibers. That way I believe it's easiest to work with your hackle pliers. Now, same thing, just going to slowly go forward. Just palmer this around. You can see with the longer fibers. Oops. Accidentally came out of the hackle pliers there. We can fix that real quickly here. Alright. Happens time to time. Let's try that again. I'll put that back in there. Pliers accidentally came out again, so we'll just finish this off with my hands here manually. I cut the excess stem off. Alright, now I got 2 plumes in there. Usually it takes 2, sometimes 3, what you're trying to achieve. We're going to throw one more black one in there, and that should do it. So I got one more black one right here. Grab my hackle pliers here real quick, because I fell on the ground. Okay, here we have this black feather. Same thing, we're going to, actually, no, I'm going to select a different one. I don't like that one too much. Always make sure you choose a really good feather to use. Always recommended to like this one over here. Looks way better. Alright, so we'll get all this fluff off. Same thing, we're going to fold most of this back. Usually I like to use about half of the quill, that way I get all the longest fibers again. We're going to cut off most of that quill right there so it's easier to work with when we insert it through hackle pliers. Alright, so now we'll insert this, tie it in. Cut the excess marabou off, palmer this forward, put some hackle pliers here. Alright, now we'll slowly advance this forward here. Alright, now we'll tie this off here. Again, a key step here is always make sure you look at your marabou feathers. You don't want too bushy of a one. Some feathers are going to be better than others, so make sure you take a minute or two and thoroughly scan through your plumes, through your whole plumes, to make sure you find a feather that makes really well. A really bushy plume doesn't work as effectively as a sparse one does. Alright, I'll tie this off here, and then I'll slightly tie back, reverse the thread, so make sure this is all tied down well. So a little saliva here to get it back, slowly working backwards. Alright, there you go, that's in position. Now, looks pretty good. Now, like always, whenever you're working with marabou, it's good to have a collar anchored against, so that way the marabou can maximize its efficiency in the water and spurt out to the furthest point possible. And using a schlappan collar or guinea collar such as this works really well, or guinea feather. So same thing, we're going to remove the excess here. Trim this down a little bit to about right there. We're going to make the scissors fold. And make sure you take your thumb and your pointer finger and make sure the fibers spread out really well. And right there where my thumb is, that is going to be your tying point right there. So we're going to tie this in. Okay. Again, I'll fold this back the other direction. The tag end here, or the scissors folded area. That way, I know for security reasons it's not going to come undone when I'm wrapping. Trim that off. Okay. Now, I can advance the thread forward a little bit to the end of the tube fly adapter here. And now I can palmer. You can do this by hand. I prefer doing this with the hackle pliers. I think it lays on better. Alright, now slowly wrap in the same direction. You're not going forward, slowly forward like we did with the Marabou, just in the same direction. Make sure that definitely fold that back. Usually 2 times around should be plenty. We went around twice there. Looks pretty good. I might do a 3rd time just to... There we go. Now, I'm going to wrap backwards here. I'm going to tie off the guinea feather. I'll tie that off here. Okay. Alright. Now I'm going to wrap backwards. Make sure the guinea collar is in there solid. There. There's the guinea collar in there. Now there's only one step literally left. Now we're just going to tie in some very sparse flash. And here I recommend cutting no more than 3 strands. Take your time on this, don't be in a hurry. What I'll usually do is this fly isn't that long, and usually the strands of Flashabou here are about like 6-7 inches long. So what I'll do is I'll center tie it in like this on top. Could even fold the other direction. There we go. I'll just I'll fold it back over itself. I'll rotate the vise around. I'll put a couple strands right there. So I'll throw 3 right here. These I'm just going to just straight tie in. So same thing. Okay, turn that off. Rotate around. We'll put a couple on this other side here. Put 2 strands in here. Again, too much flash on here. As much as we love using a bucket load of flash for kings, and it definitely works in driving them nuts. This is like one of the few patterns that calls for the less is more concept of fly tying. Again, here I just have 2 strands. I'm just going to center tie these in here on the top of the tube here. Get it. I'm just going to center tie them. Those are in there good. Now I'm going to fold the vise over about another couple inches in another angle. I'm going to center tie. I'm going to take the remaining strands, fold these over. And those are locked in place. The nice thing with center tying is you don't have to use as much flash. Alright, now that that's done, I'm just going to use put a couple of strands of silver flash in there. Probably just put a couple on top and call it good. So here's the silver flash right here. I put one on top. Put an individual. If you wanted to, the other thing you could do is spin it a dubbing loop if you desire to, but I think this will work just fine. I'll put that silver flash in there. There we go. There's that silver strand right there. Rotate the vise around. I put two strands right here, and she should be done. All right, two more strands right here. Tie these down in this angle. Alright. Cut off the excess flash. I'll just trim to make sure that that's the right length. There. That should probably do it. Overall, it's probably about maybe 10 strands of flash in there at most. I'm just going to finish off my thread head. There. And the fly is done. That is it. Put a couple whip finish this bad boy. It shall be done. Whip finish number one. Again, I'll leave a little bit of a space, like 1/8 of an inch up front, so that way I can take a cone head and insert it over the tube and super glue it on there, and that's going to be your primary weight right there. Again, these work great when kings are pressured. These darker color combinations like this one work really well on weight run fish and the fish that are located further up near headwater in the headwater systems. Now I'm just going to put a little coat of head cement on here, just to cement the wraps. I will let this dry, and once I get a good series, about a dozen of these done, I'll then glue the cone heads on. But that is pretty much it, and that is the Marabou tube fly. Let's get this out of the tube. Let's see what this thing looks like. There we go. Right, like there. And I'll do at the very end, if the strands of flash are a little long, I can always do a last minute touch-up detail work and make sure they're barely beyond the length of the Marabou fibers. And that one right there is probably about 2.5, 3 inches in length. That's about all you really need. It's about the right length, about 2.5, 3 inches. You can go smaller if you want, but I feel that's a good length right there. Very good fly for tough conditions. As you can see, same one that we have whipped up from earlier. So there you go, Marabou tube fly. Titus and variety of color combinations. I recommend black and blue, blue and chartreuse, kingfisher blue and chartreuse, black and chartreuse, black cerise, black hot pink, like these two color combos right here. And the list goes on and on, as we mentioned with other color combinations. So that is how you tie the Marabou tube fly. When the going gets tough and you're not getting blasted on the standard 4 to 6 inch shooter style flies or the prom dresses, throw one of these things out. These things are a huge game changer when the big bad stuff isn't working. Be surprised. So don't leave this out of your fly box. This is an absolute must during these tough conditions. And again, the Marabou tube fly. tying tutorial with Mike Lenny for Fish Alaska. Thank you.